Okay, so something I forgot that I needed to get ready for paint was the hood scoop. As you can see, it was a used one when I put it on the car. It was blue originally, but here's my problem. Over the years, doing this, it's kind of old. It's a plastic. It's not really fiberglass. I don't really see any fibers sticking out anywhere, so if it is fiberglass, it's a really short strand. Anyway, so what I was going to try was this plastic bonder, JB Weld plastic bonder, which I've used for other things. I've fixed microphones and all kinds of stuff with this. I think what I'll do is do a classic plastic fix. Grind out the crack and work this stuff in all the way through, because the crack comes through to the other side here, as you can see. So I may do it on both sides and then sand it smooth. I could even lay something across there to give it some kind of structural. I've been known to use stainless welding rod for that. And it sort of becomes a cleat. And this stuff sticks like crazy to that stainless welding rod. And I've used it for all kinds of fixes. For example, right here on my little sippy cup, I dropped it. Well, let me get my thing off here. I dropped it and broke it right there. So I ended up sort of just bending it off to the side. I drilled holes in the handle and in the lid to fit the stainless rod in, and then I used this plastic bonder, and it has survived for a year like this, being dropped again, and it still hasn't broken. So it's a high recommendation. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing, prepping this thing for paint and repairing this here crack. But when you tighten up the bolts on the hood, see the crack opens up. And to stop the crack from going any further, I took these front two bolts out so that I wasn't, adding any stress from these front things. And that kind of stopped it. In fact, I already knew that it was cracked under the paint, but the paint wasn't cracked. So that's made the paint survive. And all these years, I mean, probably, well, since I painted it that last time, 30 some years. But I decided I need to fix it this time. So whipped out my battery Dremel tool and put a little bit on the end of it there and just started grinding grooves. What I ended up doing is V'ing it from both sides almost to the point where it met in the middle of the thickness of the material, but I didn't quite go that far. And now you can see I'm putting the grooves in for the cleats, as it were, the little welding rod. And away we go. Just smear it. Used my finger to kind of smoosh it in to make sure that it came out on the other side. I've got the JB Weld plastic bonder all laid in there. I used stainless steel welding rod as cleats inside there. And it's actually starting to roll away just a little bit because it needs to be up like this. So I'm going to pause for a second. And now I just have to wait for this to set up, and hopefully it will stick really, really well. That's what I'm doing today. Made this fender fit a little better. I had moved the door back because there was almost no gap here. And I took the fender off and I had to re-arc this bottom piece here so that it tucked under there. And I don't need to put any spacers underneath there. It fits right where the bolt is supposed to go. I pushed it back all the way to where it used to be. And suddenly I have tons of gap. And like Barry said, these things are really weird because you take the fender off, and I was just working on one little piece of it. I go to put the fender back on, and suddenly I have a ton of gap and I can't get the fender to go back any further. If you look at the door here, see it actually is to the rear of the rocker, just maybe a 32nd of an inch or so. So I can take up some of this gap. I have a lot less gap back here. You know, you can see how tight that gap is. So maybe I should move the door forward just a hair and tighten it up. But I almost kind of like it, only because it just guarantees that the door is never going to catch this fender, no matter what happens with the hinge. I got the back side of all the panels prepped now. So these panels are all ready for paint. If we look at this one here, you will notice, oh yeah, it's got all of the body filler in it now. So it is all ready. On the back side, hey, a Daimero Ford stamp. So this is not an original piece. Made in July. Cars built in June. I can actually paint all of that stuff. All the pot metal parts are done. I've got the JB Weld plastic bonder slash structural adhesive. Is all shaped. And the crack is all taken care of. It has, you know, it's good and hard. So it just remains to be seen whether this is an effective fix, but it's certainly better than last time because I didn't do anything last time. It actually shaped really nice and it feels really good. So the scoop is now ready for primer. I'm assuming that I have to put adhesion promoter on this, and then I'll just shoot it with 2K. I mean, there's no need for epoxy. I don't have to seal out any water, you know, and the 2K will stick just fine.